Let me fucking scoot back a little so I don't punch the microphone.
Hey, come listen to our podcast, yeah. Please listen, it's a hitch. If you don't listen to our podcast, yeah, then you are a bitch.
Maybe that one.
Welcome to Filmoscopy, a podcast where traditionally three friends get together and discuss the movie that one of them has picked. Last week's episode, or 2 weeks' episode, it don't matter. Last episode, I missed it, and to make up for it, it's me and my four birds are now in the same room. So it's going to be interesting today. Today is my movie. I am today's host, Lance. Hi. I am going to introduce Cody, the co-host today. Cody.
Hello.
Cody. And and Owen. Owen, say hi to everybody.
Hi to everybody.
Okay, sweet. All right, so let's go ahead and get this out of the way. I'll tell you guys this quick story. The reason why I missed the last episode, which in real time was recorded 2 weeks ago from today's recording, we had to move days because Cody was going to a concert, so we were recording on a Sunday. Well, I went over to my dad's house just to visit for a few minutes, and I went to go see his cat / my cat, Boo Boo, who is 16 years old, and I went in there, and he was on the bed when I was petting him, and his face was completely swollen up on the left side. Like, it's like he got stung by, like, some venomous thing. Like, it was, like, swollen. And I was telling my dad, like, your cat's face is swollen. I was, like, freaking out. So we found out that we have a cat vet ER. I drove the cat all the way down there, filled out paperwork on the phone, only to be told that they didn't have an opening yet, and they'll give me a call within the next, like, 12 hours. So I drove all the way back to my dad's house. It was, like, 7-8 miles away, which is pretty bad when you got a 16-year-old cat who doesn't like cars or being outside. So he's, like, freaking the fuck out, and his face is all swollen. He's dripping blood from his mouth.
Oh.
And so we get back, and I wait around for a couple hours, and then we finally get a call about 6 o'clock, right when my dad's about to go to bed because he has to get up for work early the next day, and, you know, I have to work the next morning too. They said, okay, we can go ahead and, take your cat. So we drove him all the way back over there. They got him in. It took them 20 minutes to actually see him, and when they saw him, they just took him to the back. I wasn't able to see any of the examination. And then after that, it took an hour for them to come back and talk to us, and they couldn't tell what was wrong with his face. They wanted to do blood work. It could have been a rotten tooth or something like that. Of course, they also throw in the C word, cancer, or maybe diabetes, to kind of, like, scare you a little bit. Like, we don't really know what's going on. This might cost you a bunch of money. So my dad dropped down $1,100 for this visit. They kept him overnight, and they did his blood work, and I didn't go to bed that night till about 10:30, and I got up at midnight to call them because they said, if you don't hear from us by midnight, his blood work came back fine, and we're going to go ahead and do with the surgery. So I woke up and I called them and said, yeah, his blood work was fine, and what they did is they cut his face open and drained his face, and they couldn't do anything with his tooth. So I picked him up the next morning, took him back to the house. He's got a little cone around his head. You got to give him medicine for 7 days, and they said you got to get this tooth cut out. So at that point, a couple days later, I have to make a bunch of calls. Most cat vets will charge you $1,000 flat for a tooth removal. Luckily, my primary vet, who wasn't open when I was trying to make the calls the first time, said they could do it for like $475. So my dad spent another $500, but Boo Boo's fine. It's been a hellish 2 weeks with him. His face is all swollen, bleeding, and all that shit. To his, having all the surgery. So yeah, it's that's why I had to miss. I missed for a good reason. So yeah, it sucked. And I didn't have to give him this latest round of pills. He just had pain pills. I'm like, thank God. And my vet was like, well, we have his records. Well, at first they were going to charge us. Like, well, no, he's got his records, and they said they already have his records here from 4 days ago. And they said, okay, yeah, we do, so we're good. Like, Boo Boo's blood work was perfect for a 16-year-old cat. No diabetes, no cancer. They did an ultrasound. They couldn't find anything. I mean, he's perfectly healthy for a 16-year-old cat that's lived in a house where my dad smokes constantly. So, go figure.
Hey, Boo Boo, you want a puff of this cigarette, Boo Boo?
He does the... That's kind of like a mixture of Yogi Bear and Pepe Le Pew. Hey, boo boo. Yeah, that's why I had to miss last episode. I'm pretty sure no one will miss me on that episode.
We did. Okay.
Well, I appreciate it. Man.
I miss you. Hello there.
I hope Owen sung at some point. Just the two of us. Because, I mean, what are we fucking doing here if he didn't?
Yeah, keep it consistent, please.
I mean, I go to work and I'll sing just the two of us, and Sarah hates it.
Yes, the two of us. This song slaps, dude. It's a good song.
It is a good song. It's fucking hilarious when you do it, though. But, so, I'm going to go ahead and get my quote-unquote review out of the way for The Evil Dead. The first half, maybe first two-thirds of the movie, I was extremely squeamish to it. Like, oh, God. And then when it started to get into, like, just buckets and buckets of blood, it kind of wore off. It's like, okay, this movie's not scary anymore. The eyeball scene, I know Cody talked about it, or you guys both talked about it. I know I mentioned it to Cody over the phone. When she rips out the dude's eyeball and then spits it at the other dude and the dude chokes on it, I gagged at that scene. Like
I just thought it was
other
kind
than
of
that,
goofy.
I mean, I thought it was a...
Did we
Yeah,
say
I thought it was...
that in our review that, like, over time it kind of got less scary and more action-y focused?
Well, I think we talked about that, and we talked about the fact, or I know I especially lamented the fact that, like, the last act of the movie is very, like, more like traditional Evil Dead, where it's got a lot of camping, like, goofiness to it. And it makes it not very scary. Like, when they're going down the hallway and it's just like, dead by dawn.
Oh, yeah, we did kind of say that it was kind of goofy. I remember that.
Well, when they turned into that...
The Rat King.
the big spider monster...
Yeah, the Rat King.
Yeah, that looked really stupid.
Yeah.
I knew instantly, like, nothing against this movie. This wasn't like, oh, I fucking hate this movie, someone shit on it. But I know instantly when they make monsters like that at the end of the movie and they don't give you a clear shot of it ever, it's because it looks really fucking stupid in bright lights. And if you get one image of it, you're like, okay, this is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like obviously the Scorpion King in the Mummy Returns movie. That's completely bad CGI.
Yeah.
And that was just terrible. And like Motaro in Mortal Kombat Annihilation looks pretty decent for what he is, but the shots you see of him in like action, like him jumping, it looks really stupid. But his like the standstill of him just standing there looks good. But it's just like, it's hard to pull off those kind of monsters without looking really fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. That's why it's always kept in dark and flashing lights. And you're like, oh, it's like, oh, okay, you know, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't recommend the movie when I rewatched it. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Evil Dead movies, so I don't recommend it. I know you guys probably did recommend it. So let's get to it. Today's episode, in honor, unfortunately, that's not unfortunately, this is in honor of a character I love. Unfortunately, in Mortal Kombat 1, not the 1992 game, not the 1995 movie, not the 2011 game, not the 2021 movie, Mortal Kombat 1, that actually has a 1 in the title, that's coming out. By this time this episode drops, it will come out in like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks from now. Probably a week and a half, I will say that. It's the new title, another reboot. And it's confirmed that Scorpion in the game is Kuai Li Ang instead of Hanzo Hasashi. So, like, for anybody that plays Mortal Kombat casually and they don't really care about the story, you're not going to miss anything. Scorpion still plays like Scorpion from what I can tell. But the thing that, for hardcore Mortal Kombat fans, the thing that endears Mortal Kombat to you is the story of the game. I don't necessarily play the game because, oh man, I love these mechanics or this looks stupid. I've always went into the game wanting to know about the story, specifically Scorpion's story, like his bio, his ending, any information I could get on this character. So, like, Mortal Kombat, the original Mortal Kombat 1 comes out in 92. And Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, which was like the 6th game in the series, is a prequel to that. And it come out 5 years later, but in that game they established that Scorpion is a Japanese ninja warrior named Hanzo Asashi. And he has a whole backstory about his ninja clan with the Shirai Ryu. His father was a member. His father didn't want him to join because he wanted him to have a safe, better life. And Hanzo was like, well, I can provide for my family comfortably if I become a member of the Shirai Ryu. So he chooses to join the Shirai Ryu. Whereas the Sub-Zero brothers were abducted by their father and at a young age and trained with the Lin Kuei. Lin Kuei abducted people, So that's like the kind of thing that's starting to be Han, which it's a whole thing. They don't name the Sub-Zero brothers until Mortal Kombat 9 / Mortal Kombat 1.2 / Mortal Kombat 2011, that reboot, that was the first time like Sub-Zero, both of them, and Smoke got names. And the original Sub-Zero is Bi-Han, which is the one that's in this movie. And Kuai Liang is the younger Sub-Zero. So if you're looking at it from a chronological perspective, Mortal Kombat 1992 and Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, the Sub-Zero in those two games are Bi-Han, the original. Mortal Kombat 2 all the way to Mortal Kombat 11, the Sub-Zero in those games is Kuai Liang. He's the younger brother. He's the good guy. So what they've done is, so far, they've replaced Hanzo Asashi as Scorpion in this new game, who Hanzo Asashi has been Scorpion for the last 31 years, the whole time. He's the logo of the company, and he's being replaced by the guy who's been Sub-Zero for the last 30 years of the company. And people seem to think this is a fresh take because, oh man, it's great Scorpion Sub-Zero brothers. I'm like, I feel like it's stupid because it's like, it feels like you have nothing else you can do with these ninjas, so you're putting them all underneath one house. Like Scorpion and Sub-Zero brothers. Smoke is their adopted brother. Yay! And it's like, I kind of liked it better when they were kind of spread out and they had connections, So yeah, I've bitched and complained about that. I'm still hoping that Hanzo Asashi is a character in this timeline. He has not been deleted from existence, because I myself as a fan am more of a fan of his story than I am of Scorpion's moveset. And if Hanzo Asashi becomes another character like Havoc, which is rumored, it's not rumored, the leak that's been 100% true that was leaked like 2 years ago now, like everything they've hit on, the Tarkat disease, Scorpion Sub-Zero brothers, Kuai Liang is now Scorpion. It says that Havoc starts out as a different Mortal Kombat character and then becomes Havoc. So I'm thinking if that's Hanzo, Havoc will be my new main character. He will be my favorite character because I'm going to continue on with that story of Hanzo Asashi. I don't need Scorpion. I don't need the yellow clothes. I don't need the spear and shit like that. I also don't think this is a permanent change because, as Owen and Cody well know, and me and Cody played the game together, MK9 / MK 1.2 / MK 2011, Kuai Liang was turned into a robot instead of Smoke, which is how it traditionally happened. So you had Cyber Sub-Zero. Well, Mortal Kombat X comes around, which is the next game, and me and Cody talked quite a bit before the game came out. It's like, oh, which Sub-Zero is this? Is this Bi-Han come back as Sub-Zero? Is this Kuai Liang? How are they going to explain it? It's Kuai Liang, and they don't even explain it in the game. He comes back as a human. You have to get the Mortal Kombat X comic books to see some stupid excuse they shoehorned in there. So I feel like this won't be a permanent change. Like Hanzo Asashi will become Scorpion at some point. Maybe in the next game, maybe the game after that, they'll have to redo it because I do think you do have more fans than they're giving credit for that actually care about this kind of shit. And, yeah. So, you guys got any thoughts on the change?
So personally, for me, I don't know, and we'll have to wait to see kind of what they do. But overall, I don't know. Making all the ninjas like brothers and in the same clan seems like you're gonna eliminate like some character dynamics and stuff and make them less interesting. Just but it remains to be seen. So maybe they'll do something good with it, but I don't know. I'm usually negative, so I think they might screw it up. But that's just personally me.
I got you. Got Cody, you sir.
I don't have a problem with the change. As long as the story's interesting. To be honest, I kind of everything I've heard about what this story is doing so far, even beyond the deal with Hanzo and Kuai Liang, I like it a lot more than, let's say, the 2011 reboot, which was basically like the same. It's essentially the same events from Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3 with some slight variation. I like that this is kind of a whole new take on everything. Now, we've talked about this multiple times now, but I think that Hanzo's going to be in the game. And I think the theory that he's Havoc is pretty likely at this point. Because I highly doubt that they would just completely leave Hanzo out. But bring back people like Lee May and fucking Movado. You know what I mean?
Movado.
Yeah.
Movado's cool.
I agree with. Well, Movado I thought was cool at the time, but now I look back on it, it's like, yeah, okay, I understand why. I mean, he just wasn't. He was just a character they were trying to throw in that was a new character. Because looks like Cody, you said like your favorite character hardly ever gets in the game. Who is your favorite character in Mortal Kombat?
So I have two longtime favorite characters would be Reptile and Smoke, and we all know that Smoke really doesn't really appear that much in the series, comparatively to some of like the mainstays. Right, Reptile, it's kind of a love-hate situation because I prefer like the more human-esque Reptile, and starting with Deadly Alliance, they kind of made him look like a dinosaur creature. But even then, like Deadly Alliance actually introduced one of my favorite characters just from an aesthetic point of view, and that's Natara, which I think she's really only appeared in Deadly Alliance and Armageddon at this point. So
Yeah, she has a big fan base though in the MK fandom.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think
she's going to be in this new game.
Yeah, that's why like when we did the movie for like the reboot movie or whatever, it was cool that she was in it, although she didn't really play a big part in it or anything.
Yeah, I got you. Owen, who is your favorite character in Mortal Kombat if you have one?
I'm usually torn between Sub-Zero and Scorpion, but I also like Johnny Cage a lot just because he's funny, and I used to really like Kung Lao until they made him a bitch.
Yeah, I got you. Because Kung Lao used to be, from the way he was portrayed in his story in MK2, 3, and 4, he was kind of like the the Clint Eastwood man with no name.
Yeah.
The hat. He was actually the chosen one originally, and he walked away from it because he wanted a life of peace, and then Liu Kang took over the role. But since Shaolin monks and then all the rebooted timeline, Kung Lao's just been jealous of Liu Kang and trying to one up him and shit. And it's like, okay, that's kind of boring. So we'll see how it works out. I've said Scorpion is my favorite character, but it's the Hanzo Asashi story part that I'm always interested in. Like I'm always interested in how he interacts with other characters. Ever since they in MKX have introduced character intro dialogues, where they have like a string of dialogue before they fight, about 4 or 5 per character, and I always love because it always has little hints of either a non-canon story or just their personality that I love and their endings. But I just feel like Ed Boon says Scorpion's his favorite character, and I always felt like, well, that was the whole part of his character. I guess Ed Boon is just a casual and just Scorpion, I don't care. He really doesn't really care about the lore. When people ask him questions on like YouTube videos that he gets asked questions, and he was just like, yeah, we'll go with that, sure. So he really doesn't care about that. That was more John Tobias's thing. But my biggest complaint is and I've said this before, if in the last 20 years we've had 3 Batman film entities, and my bird is banging on his cage, and then in the last 25 years we've had 3 Spider-Man film entities, 3 different directors, 3 different writers, 3 different actors, but those 3 Spider-Man film entities, Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man Homecoming, they're all Peter Parker and Peter Parker Spider-Man in those movies. In the 3 Batman movies, you got Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, and Robert Pattinson. They're all 3 Bruce Wayne, and they're all Bruce Wayne who is Batman. But they're told in different ways. Yeah, you got overlapping characteristics, and you have similar qualities because they're the same character essentially, but they're told differently, where they feel like different movies. Same thing for Spider-Man. I think you could have wrote a different story for Hanzo Hasashi as Scorpion. There's no excuse to be like, well, Scorpion's the only one who's losing his identity. Like, Katana's still Katana. Melina is no longer a clone. She's a sister to Katana, but she's still Melina. Rain is still Rain. Bihan, the original Sub-Zero, is Sub-Zero. And you have the logo of the company, which, yeah, you can word it, well, Scorpion's the logo of the company. If you look up NRS logo, that is Scorpion, that's Undead Scorpion. Who is Undead Scorpion, Cody?
Hanzo Hasashi.
Exactly. I was like, what the fuck is he doing over there? He like muted his microphone.
I was trying to.
Cody's over here farting. He's like, I don't want them to hear this.
He's like, hold on.
I was trying to think. I was like, is this some sort of trick question?
Yeah, gotcha.
I know, yeah. But Hanzo Hasashi is the logo of the company, and he's the main character. So I don't think he'll be left out of the story. At least I'm hoping not. And hopefully one day he'll be Scorpion again, because to me it's like, you can't put Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Darth Vader suit and just erase the Anakin Skywalker character and just make it work because you think it'd be interesting. It has to be Anakin Skywalker. And that's how it is for Hanzo. Like, he doesn't have to be undead. His family doesn't have to die. Everybody's like, well, that's the story that's played out. Well, write him a new fucking story. That's what they're doing with everybody else. That's what everybody that defends this is like, well, that story for Hanzo's played out. It's like, well, because you and the writer can't come up with something creative new for Hanzo Hasashi, doesn't mean it can't happen. It just means you're fucking stupid. Yeah. And like, everybody just looks at Hanzo has to be this undead ghost. No, I mean, I've told Cody this, and I've told Owen this separately, but MK11, Scorpion was resurrected in MKX, and he became Hanzo Hasashi again. Still had his Hellfire powers, but he was Hanzo Hasashi. MK11 Hanzo Hasashi was way different than any Scorpion iteration from before, even MKX. He was calm, cool, and he had the righteous path in front of him. And they killed him off to redeem the Spectre Scorpion from the past. And it pissed me off. I'm like, look, I don't need Spectre Scorpion anymore. I've seen Grandmaster Hasashi from the Shirai Ryu, and that's who I want from this point on. Give him the fire powers, that's fine. But that's who I want. I don't need him to be Scorpion. But now they've taken that away, so it's like, I've come up with this ultimatum, like, if Hanzo Hasashi doesn't exist as a character in the story, then I am not getting this game. And he can be, even if Hanzo Hasashi is an NPC, like you see him in the background and he's enjoying family time, and they just briefly hint the fact that he was Scorpion in the past, that's fine, I'll get the game. Like, that's what I want. I just want to know that he hasn't been deleted as a character, because this Mortal Kombat game has a cameo system, which, Cody, would you describe it kind of like Super Smash Brothers?
No, I would. What's a good comparison? I used to have a good comparison for this, and I've done forgot. I think, if I remember right, like Marvel vs. Capcom sort of functionality, where you can kind of like call in your other fighters to throw in an assist. Or like Dragon Ball Fighters is also a good example. Like, you have a team of 3 fighters typically, and you can like press a button to like call one of them in to throw an attack to kind of help you extend the combos, or help break you out of a situation where you're getting your ass kicked or whatever. So,
but you can switch between those characters and fighters.
Yeah, you can switch between those characters in both of those examples. The cameo fighters are purely just assist characters.
Yeah, From what I understand, if they get hit, though, it does take damage from your bar. So I don't know how that's going to work. But you have cameo fighters, and there's a cameo Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Now, I think some people are thinking the cameo Sub-Zero is Kuai Liang Sub-Zero, which I think is probably, Bihan and Sub-Zero as well. But the cameo Scorpion is like Mortal Kombat 2 Undead Scorpion. So that's Hanzo Isashi as Scorpion as a cameo, but cameo doesn't count towards the story, so it's not enough for me to, let's go buy this fucking game, Remember in MKX how it came out on the PS4 and Xbox One, and they said that later on a PS3 and Xbox 360 version would come out, but it's from another studio that's going to, I guess, adapt it to those systems. Remember that?
Yeah.
And you remember how you were giving me updates every time I'd come over, and then you finally told me, it was like, yeah, they went ahead and canceled that. It just wasn't going to work out. I'm like, fuck. And then you're like, hey, I'm about to buy this Batman PlayStation. Let me sell you this. And I go, okay. And then I end up getting MKXL.
And
now, let me ask you something, Cody.
Has a giant bag of cocaine.
It was that. I snorted it all. I didn't make any money. So let me ask you this, Cody. Has there ever been, to your knowledge, obviously, a company who has been contracted to build a game from an existing platform for a lesser platform, like from PS4 to PS3 or PS5 to PS4 or PS3 to PS2? I know that really wasn't a thing, but
yeah, I mean, it happens. It happens every so often. Typically, it happens in the first 3 years or so of a console's life cycle. And it also happens a lot with PC. PlayStation does that now, where they, one of their main development studios works on a game, comes out on PlayStation 5, and then they'll have another studio work on a PC version of it. Typically, they do that so that the main development team isn't utilizing resources of their own on a port. I'm not even sure, because I know just using Mortal Kombat as an example, a few years after Mortal Kombat 11 released, they ported it to the Switch. But I don't know if it was NetherRealm that did it or if it was another studio. Let me look real quick, which would explain why maybe they are doing a Switch version of MK1, because
that's actually coming out day one for the Switch, so
yeah.
They're actually which you told me the Switch isn't as powerful as the PS4, so it's weird they're not putting the game on the PS4.
Right. Yeah. It is bizarre. Well, no. Apparently, NetherRealm developed the Switch port. It looks like. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, but yeah, there have been examples in the past of other studios taking on a game and their sole purpose is just to port it to a lesser platform.
Okay, let me ask you this, because me and you played a lot, at least I know I did, the Jedi Fallen Order game.
Yeah.
And they've come out with a sequel, which is ironic because Jedi Fallen Order came out after MK11, and their sequel, Jedi Survivor, came out before Mortal Kombat 1, 1.3, I guess.
Yeah, I'm
they
back.
said that. Okay. Oh, you're good. I was just going to finish up this conversation real quick. Cody, do you think that, because I've heard the Jedi Survivor game is extremely buggy, at least on the computer. I know that it's not as bad on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series, whatever. Do you think that this company that they've contracted can actually port it to the PS4 and Xbox One successfully, or do you think it's just going to be terrible?
I think they can, but it's going to be, it's going to be a situation where you're going to have to sacrifice. Look at Hogwarts Legacy, for example. So Hogwarts Legacy originally released on PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles, and I believe PC. And then a few months later, it released for PS4 and Xbox One. But there were certain sacrifices that had to be made. So, like, graphical fidelity was lessened, so it wasn't as intensive on the hard drives, because especially that last generation of consoles uses they use mechanical hard drives instead of solid state drives, so it makes it have to do things also like load times. For example, when you're walking around the castle and stuff in Hogwarts Legacy, you got to open a door, and maybe every now and then on the PS5 version and Series X versions, you'll see like a very brief like spin, like a thing that's spinning to tell you that it's loading the other side of the door, but it's like a brief second, and then you can go through it. Whereas on the PS4 and Xbox One versions, it cuts to a loading screen, so it can load all that stuff before you go through. So with Jedi Survivor, I assume that some of that stuff is going to be the same way. It's going to be lower fidelity. They may even sacrifice frame rate, so maybe lock it at 30 frames per second instead of allowing 60. And there's probably going to be a lot of load times as well. I mean, it can be done. It's just not the optimal way to experience it.
Yeah, that's probably just a way for EA to squeeze any kind of money they can out of people who are not getting the new consoles.
Well, yeah, I mean, you think about it. There's 120 million PS4s that were sold, and there's like another 40 million or so Xbox Ones, or maybe it might be a little bit more than that. But you got to think that's 160 million potential buyers. So. And Mortal Kombat 1, the only reason I could see them doing that same thing as trying to like port it back to the old consoles, is if it's just not selling that well. But we know that Mortal Kombat 11 was one of like the biggest money makers for Warner Brothers games. So I don't see them having a problem on that front.
I'm hoping this Mortal Kombat game fails because of Hanzo. But it's not going to. Like, the collector's edition is completely sold out, and like I say, if someone, like I said, whoever orders the collector's edition / premium edition of this game, you get to have access to the game 5 days prior. And at some point, I don't know, if somebody drops and like, yeah, Hanzo Hasashi does become Havoc, or he is in the story, you see him. I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and pre-order the game and have it downloaded. Like, I'm not going to be like shitting on the game, but it's like my biggest okay, no, fuck you, is that they deleted Hanzo, period. Like, he doesn't exist, we don't need him, somebody else is wearing the mask. I'm like, nah, I don't think so. Because my biggest argument with people online is you have people that are Sub-Zero fans that are happy their guy is now Ed's favorite, that he's the main guy. And they say, well, it doesn't matter who's underneath the mask because Scorpion fans are casuals, they don't care about a story. And then I get online on Twitter. That's on Reddit. And I get online on Twitter, and people on Twitter are like, really? That's the only reason why you're not going to buy the game? Like, I don't care who's underneath the mask, as long as he plays like Scorpion. I'm like, hey, you're the fucking people they're talking about. Just get out of my mentions. All right, so today was my movie, and I decided to continue on with a trend Cody started a couple movies ago where we were picking animated movies. I wanted to pick movies that I could quickly assimilate, like the info, something I was passionate about. And at the time, I was extremely passionate about Mortal Kombat because the trailer just dropped. And I'm like, I'm going to do the Mortal Kombat Legends movies. And then when I found out Scorpion is a Hanzo, I told him, like, well, we're just going to do this one. And now I've flipped. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do all three. So that's going to be my next two movies, like 2 and 3 months in the future. So today is Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. It was released April 14th, 2020, so about a year after Mortal Kombat 11 came out. Runtime 80 minutes. Production companies are Warner Brothers Animation and Studio Mir, which is a company that's located in South Korea. And it is directed by Ethan Spalding, written by Mr. Jeremy Adams, who's a comic book writer, and he's wrote all these Legend movies. And let's see what the sales were real quick. The film earned $508,000 from domestic DVD sales and $2 million, roughly, like 2.1 million from domestic Blu-ray sales. So it brought in about $2.6 million,
That's just domestic.
which is pretty good. And it's it's domestic. You're right. And it has a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes based on 21 reviews and an average rating of 7.3. So, I guess we'll go ahead and say, Cody, was this your first experience with the movie, or had you watched it before? Because I know I talked to you about this literally yesterday, but I can't remember again.
Yeah, I think that when sometime around shortly after it came out, you would come over and we watched it. But outside of that, this was only my second time watching it, and it's one of those situations where it's like, I remember watching this, but don't really remember anything, and then like watching it this morning, I was like, oh yeah, I do remember this movie now.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Owen, I think I let you borrow this one time and you watched it. I don't remember for sure though.
That's right. I watched this before only once. But yeah, this will be my second time around watching.
Okay, and I remember us talking about it around the mop sink in the produce back room. So
Yeah.
I remember that, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure it was about there. Maybe I was just bitching to him about Mortal Kombat 11. I don't remember. I actually ordered this movie on Amazon, and somehow somebody got it. I guess my dumb ass, like when you order it on Amazon, you're not getting it the day of the release. You're getting it 2 days from that release, which is fucking stupid at the time. I think it's probably changed now. But other people were getting it that day because I didn't want to go into another store. I work in a grocery store. I wasn't going into a retail store just to buy it. But somebody had posted a bunch of clips of it on YouTube. So that day I kind of spoiled most of the movie by watching those clips because I was so excited I couldn't help it. And then when I got the movie, I watched it probably, 4 or 5 times. And then I watched it periodically. Since then, I've watched it 3 times for this podcast. And I've also watched it one time with the film commentary on to see if there was any information I was going to miss. And there really wasn't. But, yeah. So, the movie is an adaptation of Mortal Kombat 1 plus Scorpion's backstory with some liberties taken to it. Put together, really. Like, you see Scorpion's... his origin story, how he becomes the undead Scorpion. And then you have the classic tournament with Liu Kang, Sonya, and Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya. Here's a hot take. I don't know how hot of a take it is. I've never been a fan of Liu Kang as a character.
No, not really either. He's just he's the generic poster boy.
I'm in the same.
And he's not even a poster boy.
This is his first game ever he's on the cover of. And, everybody, it's like, it's one of those things, like, that they talked about it in story, like John Tobias and Ed Boon in interviews saying that Liu Kang was going to be their Luke Skywalker. He was going to be the hero of the story.
Yeah.
But as a kid playing the games, like, I've seen the story and, like, the bios and then the beginning story sheets they play before you hit start to start the game. I didn't know that Liu Kang's story was the canon story going forward every game. In my mind, as I was playing the game, it was like, well, whose story is going to be canon the next game? I didn't realize it. But if you, like, some of the endings in the Mortal Kombat 1, 2, then 3/Ultimate 3/Trilogy, some of the endings have canon events in them. Like, Scorpion's endings all have canon events except for the fact that he doesn't kill Shao Kahn. Like, in Mortal Kombat 1, he kills Sub-Zero and gets his revenge. Mortal Kombat 2, he finds out that the Sub-Zero in that game is Kuai Liang, and for retribution of killing his brother, he becomes his protector. Mortal Kombat 3, Scorpion joins Shao Kahn, then until he finds out that Sub-Zero is a part of the good guys, so he turns against Shao Kahn. But that's just all canon, but he doesn't kill Shao Kahn like it says in the ending. So that's how, like, the story is kind of gleaned, like, throughout the games. Is you get a opening couple credit sheets that have like story mode on it, which is also found in the game manual. Every character has a bio, and everyone has an ending that you have to read. And this movie, I think, takes some snippets of it, but I feel like Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya's story is very much inspired from the '95 movie. Like, I would say like 75 to 80% of their story is like the '95 movie. But Scorpion's story, like they took Mortal Kombat 1 and they took Mortal Kombat 9 story specifically and made it into this movie. And what I mean by that, like, we'll get into it. Like, I don't even have to look at the plot of this movie. I can recite it right now.
Yeah,
it starts out.
It's pretty. Just to, I guess, piggyback off that. Yeah, it's like if they took. Basically, the director of this movie was like, "Hey, let's take Mortal Kombat 1, the movie, and make it like more faithful."
Yes, yeah, like, and you know that's another thing that movie gets a lot of crap for because they did the PG-13, and they did that so they could have kids who are the primary target to come watch the movie. Yeah. But now with these direct-to-DVD movies or Blu-ray movies, direct-to-video, I guess I should say, you can make them rated R and it'd be fine. And boy, this movie lives up to the rated R, like the blood. Like when Scorpion's cutting up the ninjas, Lin Kuei assassins. It looks like he's cutting up steak. If you look at the images, I know it's supposed to be like bone and then there's the meat, but it looks like a cartoon steak you'd see in Looney Tunes. And it's pretty entertaining. But I guess we'll go ahead and you guys got any thoughts before I jump into the story, like plot-wise?
Yeah, I actually do. Thank you for asking.
Oh, you're welcome.
So it's funny, like halfway through the movie, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, you know, this movie is called Scorpion's Revenge, but outside of like the first like 5 minutes or so, Scorpion kind of disappears for half the film. And then finally, like when he shows back up, they implement him more into like the plot that we know from, you know, Mortal Kombat, the first Mortal Kombat. But gosh, for that first half, I'm like, man, like, did they just use this name to kind of just sell this movie? Because it's basically just the Mortal Kombat story.
Yeah, that's my only gripe as well. Is that I feel like the movie's trying to do a lot of things, and I appreciate what it's trying to do, but it feels like, I don't know, it feels like you're buying into a Scorpion movie, but you're just getting like, you know, a really good remake of MK1.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad to hear from you guys because obviously I have a bias towards Scorpion / Hanzo Hasashi. The Mortal Kombat 2021 movie, to me, the best scenes in that movie were the first scene between Hanzo and Bi-Han, and then the ending when Scorpion comes back and him and Sub-Zero face off again. Yeah. Like, those are my favorite parts of the movie, and then the rest of the movie is kind of bleh, other than the Sub-Zero parts. Like, Sub-Zero is the best part of that movie. So, like, this movie, like, as I'm watching it the first time, I'm like, oh, this is great. When I watch it the second time a couple days later, it's kind of like, man, okay, these other parts without Scorpion are kind of boring to me because I just don't care about those characters like that. And then, you know, I watched it again today, and I actually watched it without skipping any parts. I'm like, yeah, this other shit's... I mean, to me, it's just a little bit of boring. I think the Scorpion parts are, like, the most interesting. Obviously, it is a Scorpion movie, supposedly, but there is enough of the tournament if you're not a fan of Scorpion. Because, believe it or not, there are a bunch of weird fucking people out there that hate the fact that Scorpion is the poster child of the series. And these are also the same people that revel in the fact that Scorpion's identity has been changed in the new Mortal Kombat game. They're like, see, it doesn't matter. You're a bunch of casuals.
You're going to, I mean, with any fandom, you're going to get people with just like certain opinions that they are strongly behind. Man, I read a Reddit post this morning on r/Mortal Kombat Leaks of some guy like griping about the fact that apparently he is hoping that Sindel presents, quote, a lot of titty and thigh, and he's like, I don't want it to be covered up or whatever, and you know, he's like, he was like complaining that Tanya is in a same-sex relationship in the game. It's like, dude, you whatever.
Just read the room. Here's the thing, the Tanya thing. They changed Tanya's look to where she looks very, I think like they took inspiration from the Black Panther, like the female warrior group that they really took inspiration from that look. Mm-hmm. I mean, she doesn't have a shaved head like the main chick does, and I can't remember her name, that character's name. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I can't remember it, but it's very prominent in my brain, and I feel like that's what it is. And they've really leaned into the same sex relationship between Melina and Tanya, because that's where all the weird fandoms have jumped onto. That's their stand now.
Yeah,
their stand accounts is that, because there's an ending in MK11 where Melina wins the hourglass control, and then her and Tanya are together, and they have a baby. And that's fine, but if you look at Tanya's bio, her ending in MKX, because she was a DLC character, she was a consort to Melina. She was also a consort to Rain, though. So all three of them were boning together. So Tanya was like a user. Maybe Tanya's actually changed this point where she's loyal to Melina. But she may turn bad when Melina turns bad or whatever, because that's what's going to happen. These birds, these fucking parakeets won't shut up. Anyway, Cody will have to edit them out. But Sarah always tells me, she goes, "I heard the birds on the podcast." I'm like, I know.
You need to. Well, I can't really edit them out when they're like chirping over your talking. You know what I mean?
No, I got you. No, I know.
You need to show them that scene from Dumb and Dumber, where the parakeet, the parakeet's head has been
He's a pretty bird. Pretty bird.
And then just say, if you don't shut up, this is what's going to happen to you.
Wait, that happens? That's in Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah.
He
Yes.
if I remember, he bites the head off and drinks it? Or am I thinking of something else?
No. What the fuck, dude?
He kills.
You thinking Alice Cooper?
No, he kills the bird. Okay. And I think when they go back to the apartment, the bird's head has been removed, right? But it's like sitting on the body, so it like
you don't see it though.
Point?
No. What happens is they find out that he comes home and he says, "Parakeet." He's my dead parakeet. He goes, "Yeah, his head fell off."
Oh, okay.
They don't even realize that somebody ripped their head off, and so they sell it to a blind kid and they duct tape the head back onto the body. So we're gonna have to do Dumb and Dumber one day. That's for sure.
Well, there's one really dumbass movie, and it has to be it's like Scary Movie-esque or some shit. But there's a movie where it's like it's the fakest bird you've ever seen, but he like bites the head off, and like it's like a cup of blood inside the bird. You know, there's no it's not visceral or anything, but I remember that it's in some movie, but I can't remember.
It's not Scary Movie 2, is it?
It might
there's
be.
like a parrot or a parakeet or something in there that talks.
Nah, I don't think he ever. I don't think it's that.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember a lot of Scary Movie 2, and I just watched it like 2 weeks ago.
I remember the clown raping the guy, or the clown getting raped by the guy.
Yeah.
That scene stuck in my head. All right, so let's get into this. But I guess the moral of the story is, if you wear yellow in Mortal Kombat, you're getting changed in Mortal Kombat 1, baby. But I would agree with the other guy's first part of the story that we need to see more of the upper section of Sindel's.
Yeah, we need to see more
because, well, look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Ed Boon did an interview. I don't know if it was in MKX or MK11, the promotion. He says, I think we kind of crossed the line with Mortal Kombat 9's costumes.
Probably the Melina
costume.
But
you still fucking did them.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it was Melina that he was referring to. Because even like Melina's standard costume was like very revealing, and then you had that alternate costume that was literally just the bandages. So
yeah. Oh, I know. That's one of those things like Sindel. Sindel is the only one in MK11 that is
busty.
I don't know how to say it. She's healthy looking in MK11 is the best way to describe it. And to me, it's like, you know what? She looks great. The other girls are more covered up, but Sindel's not because she's evil, quote unquote. But I think Sindel is going to be in this game, but I don't know if she's going to be an actual character. She may just be an NPC. Mm-hmm. Because, again, they talked about King Jared, and Jared's already dead in the story. We're just never going to see King Jared as a character in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious. And the more this stuff is happening, I really don't think there's going to be Onaga in this game. So that kind of sucks. Onaga, like Cody, we've come up with a plan. Hopefully this week Cody can come down while he's on his job. And I'm going to get him Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Deception, Armageddon, and my PS2.
Actually, speaking of Armageddon, I'm actually looking at maybe getting the Wii version of Armageddon, because you can get it pretty cheap off like Mercari or whatever, and it actually has an extra character that the other versions don't have.
Well, which version is this on?
The Wii.
Oh yeah, that's Chameleon with a K.
Yeah. Wee.
Yeah, there's like, it was funny, they weren't going to put Chameleon with a K, which is the female reptile. They weren't going to put her in Mortal Kombat Armageddon, period. And the Wii came out like almost a year after the PS2 and Xbox versions came out.
Yeah.
So they had a great fan demand. They wanted Chameleon. So instead of having the male Chameleon in there, they put the female Chameleon. So, anywho, yeah, there's a lot of ninjas, people, and they're awesome. I think Mortal Kombat for a long time got embarrassed at the fact they have so many ninjas, and that's what they were known for. But I'm like, look, I really don't know. Like, Mortal Kombat, I was telling Cody this, like, in real time yesterday. Mortal Kombat's like the McDonald's of the fighting game community. Like, it's literally for everybody. Like, anybody can grab something. You may not like it. You may think it's too cheap, and some people may think it's really good. But it's got everything. And, like, Street Fighter is more of a gourmet place, I guess, for the fighting game community. And Tekken, like I said, I don't know. I know Tekken's really popular, but I couldn't tell you two fucking things about Tekken.
I love Tekken.
Okay, Forrest Gump. I was just kidding, Cody. I don't like the way Street Fighter 6 looks. Like, they look very. They look like they've taken the designs from Street Fighter 5 and mixed them with the designs of anime characters like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, and they look even more cartoonish. Like, they all have like a weird glow to them, and I don't really like that well. So. It looks like I might get in Street Fighter 6 like I said I was going to. It's like, oh, that ain't happening.
You don't want to make your own disgusting character that has fucked up face.
No, I hate, like, I really do hate, like, Create a Fighter. Because to me, I'm really just more concerned with, like, the canon story of events.
Yeah. I love it in WWE, though. Like, in WWE, it's fucking rad.
Well, that's different, because it's like...
Yeah. Owen created a 99 overall Peter Griffin in WWE 2K22.
I forgot about that.
And it's still there. I never deleted him. So it's still there.
He's like, holy crap, Lois, look. This reminds me of the time when I was a professional wrestler.
This reminds me of the time that I beat Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship.
That's funny. All right, let's go ahead and get into the story. We're almost an hour into it. So the movie opens up with the visuals of Scorpion tail and claws killing a bunch of ants. And then you see Hanzo Hasashi and his son, Satoshi Hasashi, sitting over, and Scorpion's giving some kind of life story about scorpions to his son. Because his son goes, Papa, the scorpion needs help. He goes, you know what makes the scorpion so, like, powerful? It's like, it's his spirit or something like that. He gives him some little warrior cry story. And then Hanzo tells his son, okay, we got to get back home. Your mom's going to be upset. So he gets Satoshi on the shoulder and start running. They get back to the village, which is kind of like feudal Japan looking. And he's noticing that it's really quiet. There's no guards at the gate. And then you have a bunch of Lin Kuei warriors attacking him. And you're assuming they're Lin Kuei if you've watched anything Mortal Kombat before. If you haven't, they're just these blue guys with crappy ninja costumes that are fighting them. And he's killing every one of them. And then his son and him takes off. Like, they hide in a building. And then when the Lin Kuei is going towards that building, they go out the back way or through the roof or something. And they take off for where Hanzo is. Because it's not mentioned in the movie, but Hanzo is the Grandmaster of the Shirai Ryu in this movie.
Okay.
And in the background of Hanzo taking off with the sun, you see the back images of Sub-Zero. And in the story, if you look at the back of the box, Sub-Zero in this movie is obviously Bi-Han, the original Sub-Zero, but he's also the Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei. So they're both the Grandmasters, but when you watch the next movie, which we will in about a month, a little more than a month, you'll see that there's actually another Grandmaster, so that story has been a little retconned even a movie to movie. But Scorpion and Satoshi get up into their, I guess it's kind of a castle, not really a castle, but it's a bigger house up on a hill by the mountainside. Mm-hmm. And Hanzo runs in there and he starts kind of calling for his wife, Harumi. And then you hear Satoshi go, Mama? And then Scorpion turns around and you see the blood, you see the wedding ring on her hand, and that's his wife and Satoshi's mother. And then Scorpion has this really awesome moment where he puts his hand on his son's shoulder who's crying, and you feel the anger. Like in the music, it's like his heart's beating faster and faster, and then he opens his eyes with a flash of red, and you see all the Lin Kuei behind him, and he literally kills like 20 Lin Kuei members in his home. It's really cool. There's even a section that looks kind of like Samurai Jack anime, kind of, where Scorpion gets real mad, and the whole screen goes red, and he swings the sword, and you see the reflection of the Lin Kuei's face in the sword, and it's kind of slow motion. It's really cool. I guess I should say this movie does rely heavily on the X-ray moves that were introduced in MK9 and MKX and MK11.
Yeah, I really love the visuals for it.
So you like that? I think it's a little overbearing. I mean, if it happened, I think
they go to the well too much.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I just mean like the look of it whenever it happens, because the art style is like really different from the rest of the movie, right? So, just the aesthetics of it, I really like.
Yeah, I think
they really go heavy.
I wish they would. I would give them one. Everybody gets one. I would give them one, and it would be cool. But I think, like Lance said, they go to the well too much. How do you guys feel on the art style of this movie? Also, by the way,
go ahead, Cody.
I mean, I don't mind it. It's not like the greatest art style or anything. It's not like something I'm like, man, I absolutely need more animated films in this style. But I don't mind it.
There's only 2 complaints I think I have, and I mean I like it because there's that, but their knuckles and like the backs of their legs look fucking goofy as shit.
I guess that's something I didn't notice.
I didn't pay much attention to that.
Yeah, next time you watch it, look at their knuckles, and when they're standing, like, you know how like the back of their calves are like fucking gross, like they're bizarre.
Okay, I'll have to look into that. I wasn't paying much attention to that, to be honest with you. I'll have to say I'm simple-minded when it comes to animation style. I think... Oh, here's my taste. Anything Looney Tunes from, like, the 50s up until, like, when they started doing some shit in the 80s. Like, any of the old Looney Tunes stuff I love. The newer stuff looks like shit. I don't like anything Disney's ever done. And I love what Scorpion looks like in this movie, like Hanzo Hasashi. I guess I should go ahead and say that the Hanzo Hasashi look that they've taken for this game is the Hanzo Hasashi look from MKX. He's got like a beard, he has a ponytail, and he's got a yellow headband, and he doesn't look like he has any kunai right now, which is the rope spear where he says, "Get over here." And the Sub-Zero, which is kind of funny for the design of this movie because we're about to get the Sub-Zero. The Sub-Zero look and the voice actor for this Sub-Zero is the guy who was Sub-Zero in MKX and MK11, and his design is from MKX, which is all Kuai Liang, and this Sub-Zero is actually Bi-Han, the original Sub-Zero. So that's kind of entertaining to look at. I'm like, okay, this is MKX look, but this is Bi-Han. So, yeah. So anyway, we'll finish up the scene and we'll do any other thoughts we got, I guess. And then you hear Sub-Zero yell from behind after Scorpion's killed everybody. Like, he's literally cut this one dude up to where he looks like ground hamburger meat. And he's finally calmed down for this moment, but he doesn't know where his son is. And there's a scene before this where you see blood splashing on the wall, and some of it gets on his son's face. Well, his son's crying, and all of a sudden his son lets out like a cold breath, like he's shivering. So you know Sub-Zero's around. And then you hear Sub-Zero say, "Enough!" And the Scorpion turns around, and Bihan Sub-Zero has Satoshi in his hands. Like, he has him like by the back of a neck, held up to where he is. Like, Satoshi's hanging off the ground by like at least 3 or 4 feet. And Hanzo starts walking towards him, and then Bihan says, "Any further and he dies." And then Scorpion goes, "What do you want me to do?" He goes, like, "On your knees." I'm like, whoa, where are we going with this in Mortal Kombat, guys? Not my Mortal Kombat, all right? And then, Sub-Zero does the ice. He does this big ice thing. It freezes Scorpion completely in place. And then Scorpion's telling him, he goes, "If you touch a hair on his head," and all of a sudden, you don't see it. You just see the blood going. You hear Satoshi go, "Papa," and all of a sudden his throat gets crushed. And there's blood everywhere. So you see a kid get killed. So this is the kind of Mortal Kombat we're doing. And he drops him down, and then Scorpion's got tears and blood covering his face, and he's like, "Satoshi, Satoshi," and he's like, "I'll kill you." And he starts breaking the ice, which surprises Sub-Zero, and then Sub-Zero goes up to him with a little mini iceberg in his hand, if you will. And Scorpion goes, "I'll kill you for this," and Bihan goes, "Oh, you first," and then it just shoots it through his mouth, and it goes to the back of his head, and the ice goes into the other ice, so he kind of gets impaled and blood just pouring. It's a good image. Like, you see Scorpion with tears going out of his eyes and blood going everywhere. I'm like, okay, that's pretty dope. So do you guys got any thoughts about how the story's playing out so far?
Whoa, Cody. Relax, you dog.
I was like, wow, Cody. Cody feels very animalistic for it.
Yeah, he's like, "Grr." Well,
I guess I'll go ahead, Owen.
nah, it's fine. You can go.
Okay. So for me, I mean, I enjoy it. I think that Scorpion's like setup for his backstory is pretty cool. So, and I don't, whether it's in the games, in this, or in the 2021 movie, it's always an enjoyable bit of setup to witness.
So you like seeing kids get killed, is what you're saying?
That's
Oh,
cool. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I also really enjoy the setting. I like the. I always wish Mortal Kombat would kind of show off the more Asian-inspired kind of setting and stuff. Like, that's part of the reason why I like Deception's Earthrealm so much. So I think it's a really cool intro.
Hell yeah. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick lore comparison. In MK9, you see Scorpion. He's already undead. His entire ninja clan is dead. And his wife and son are already dead. So he's coming back. Scorpion, as John Tobias puts it, who was the original writer of the games and a designer for the games. So he's the co-creator of Mortal Kombat. He left in 1999 working on Special Forces. So that's like game, I think me and Cody did the math. That's like game 8 at that point of the franchise in like 7 years. And he left in the middle of that because he just, he was burnt out. But he's always passionate about the story. And there's a reason when Scorpion dies, he goes to hell. He wasn't a great guy. I mean, he was a great father and all that, but he still was an assassin. He killed people for money. There's a reason he went to hell. That's why when he's going for revenge against Sub-Zero, he wasn't seeking justice for his own death. He was seeking revenge for his family and clan's death. There's a reason that, because Scorpion knows he was deserving of death. But in MK9, they're already all dead and all that. See, in the original story in MK1, Scorpion comes back to avenge his death at the hand of Sub-Zero. And he mentions his family and clan. In his ending, it says his family is still alive, but he'll never be able to know them again. So by the time you get to MK4, they've already introduced Quan Chi. Well, Scorpion's family and clan have been killed at this point. And Scorpion wants to get revenge for that, and he's told that the other Sub-Zero did all that crap. So that starts a whole new Sub-Zero-Scorpion rivalry. But in the original game, Scorpion's family and clan were technically still alive, as far as we know, until it got retconned, and Scorpion was the only one that was dead. And we talked about that in yesterday's episode on More Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, which was the prequel. They retconned it to Scorpion's family and clan were already killed by the time Scorpion was killed, so Scorpion wants revenge for them. So it was kind of retconned between the games. And in MK9, they started with this, his family's killed in front of him, then he's killed type of deal. And this game and then the 2021 movie really paint that picture, I think, really well. I think they do a really good job with it while staying pretty true to the story. Then we get quick setup scenes for Liu Kang. He's at his Shaolin Temple. Raiden, this is kind of funny. Liu Kang's meditating. You see candles all around him. And then you see this figure, and when you watch it, you obviously get to tell it's Raiden because he's got his hat and he's got lightning. And all the lights go out, and then Liu is defending himself from an attack of Raiden. And then he goes to strike him. He goes, Lord Raiden, I didn't know. I'm like, you just fucking saw him with lightning. Who else is it? You fucking idiot.
He's like, nobody else wears a straw hat and uses lightning. Ugh.
I mean, come on, fuckers.
I thought they were training. Like, I think when I first saw it, because I mean, as the audience, you know it's Raiden, but like, I thought they were just training or some shit.
Yeah, I don't think Liu. I think Liu was just meditating, and then.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he wasn't privy to it. It was supposed to be like a sneak attack to test him, but
he's like, Lord Raiden, I'm sorry. He's like, dude, shut up, you fucking idiot.
Raiden's cool in this movie, though. I like how he's really cool.
Yeah, it's probably
he is better than the Raiden in 2021.
Yeah,
I don't even remember that Raiden.
Exactly.
He's this is the best like interpretation of Raiden outside of the games, I think.
Hey
Hell,
now.
I don't even like him.
No
I don't even
disrespect
like
to
him.
the Highlander, okay?
I don't know.
I don't even like him more than the video game version.
That's what I was gonna say, because MK9 Raiden's kind of like an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all like fucking stupid. Like Raiden is kind of stupid from like MK9 and 10 and 11, but this Raiden is really good. You'll see a little bit more of his personality in Battle of the Realms. But he does have a line about Johnny Cage I find it's funny. We're going to get to in just a minute. Then there's a quick scene of Johnny Cage of a girlfriend leaving him. You see all of his trophies and eviction notices. And his agent calls him and says, hey, I got you a gig in China. He goes, okay, cool. How about an advance? Money's a little tight, and it gets hung up. He goes, hello? All right, well, I'm off to China. And then you see, I hate feeling this way, but it's the least interesting part of this movie is the Sonya backstory.
I'll say it. Sonya has always been one of the characters I've been the least interested in. I think that me and you may have talked about this, but like the special forces and Black Dragon stuff, like, has always just been the least interesting part of Mortal Kombat, period.
Yes, I agree with you. I feel like it's the easiest to write for them. That's why we have so much of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's obviously like that in the movie star gig. Like, that's so easy to write when it comes to the Chinese Shaolin or the Japanese Ninja Warriors or the Chinese Lin Kuei. They kind of write as much as they can and then kind of keep the rest of it vague because I don't think they have anywhere else to go with it. Now, that's obviously the fault of the writers. And this guy who was writing this movie, like, his mindset was, and their mindset when they were making this movie is like, hey, we may only get one. We got to cram as much as we can into this. So that's why there's a lot in this, and they do the best they can with it. Like, I don't fault him or the director. Like, there's just so much lore in Mortal Kombat, and he's trying to include things from the old timeline, the new timeline, so you can encompass all the fans. Because you do have some fans who are like, MK9 was my first game. I'm like, I wish I wouldn't know you in real person. So you have that kind of deal. Owen, do you have a hot take on Sonya? Is she kind of boring to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like her gimmick. I think it's stupid. I think the special forces are fucking stupid. They don't make any sense, and they're dumb.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right. So we get through that. You guys, other than finding it kind of boring, do you have any other thoughts about this little section where we're introduced to the other three heroes?
No, not really.
I like Johnny Cage. He's funny. He's cool.
Yeah, he does have some moments in this movie that's pretty funny, but
There's one moment later
he's
on
the least.
that I really
He's the most
like.
interesting of the three.
That's
Out of
yeah.
us.
That's what, out of all the hero characters, Johnny Cage is the most interesting, and that's why I like him.
Yeah.
All right, so we get a scene where Scorpion wakes up. He's like, ah! And he's tied up the most excruciating way that I could think of, barring like a crucifixion in real life, because this is animation. He's got these chains that are kind of like connected to these rock slabs, and at the end of these chains are these kind of like half axes that are inside of his wrists and inside of his ankles slash calf muscles, like completely through his foot. He is now in hell, or as Mortal Kombat calls it, the Nether Realm. And you hear a bunch of cries and stuff like that. He's calling out for his wife and son, doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Then you have this one, they don't really call him that in the movie, but he is an Oni. That's just a demon from Netherrealm that specializes in torture. And this demon's design is based on Moloch, except for Moloch. Moloch is the sub-boss in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. He's a big ape-looking creature with a third eye that has a big rock that's chained to his hand. And he doesn't have hair, though, and this one has a mohawk. So I don't think they necessarily said this one was Moloch, but I guess since Moloch hasn't showed up again, you can call it Moloch. And then you get quick a story explanation from Moloch saying, this is Netherrealm, I'm here to torture you. You can no longer perish even though you feel pain. He sticks his big sword, not his penis, but through Hanzo's side into his back. And Hanzo's like, oh, he goes, now you understand. You can feel pain, but you could no longer perish. And then really cool dialogue. Oh, he also says, like, look at this one place in despair. That's where the Master Shinnok lives, and that's the only place of reprieve from pain in this place, is this big castle on this floating island. And Hanzo starts muttering something, and the Moloch, I'll call him Moloch. I was about to call him Oni again. But Moloch is listening. He goes, what is this? A prayer? He goes, no God can help you now. And then Hanzo goes, I need no God. And then he bites his ear and rips it off because he realizes from an earlier part in that scene where the Oni test how sharp the sword is by cutting his own hand that they bleed lava. It's the Netherrealm, people, go with it. And he rips off his ear, and he throws the ear up with the lava blood going on it onto one of the chains, breaks that chain. He takes the chain in his hand and slaps the other chain holding his other arm up, and he falls to the ground. He takes the chains out of his ankles / calf muscles and his wrists, and you see that the blood kind of hardens up and it kind of heals, but not really. And then he kills the big Moloch creature because he's an awesome warrior. That's how they're hitting around that Hanzo's really deadly, especially when he's angry. And then there's a bunch of other Oni that show up, and one of them goes, where are you going, human? And he says, there's 1,000 of us and only one of you. And all of a sudden you see the end of the chain with the axe wrap around that demon's head, and then it squeezes and his head pops off. And then Hanzo goes, -1. And then they all charge him, and then it's hinted around that Hanzo kills all the demons in the next scene. So how you guys feeling about Hanzo at this point? Is he kind of an interesting character?
Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed the Hanzo Hasashi parts in this movie. I like the focus on him and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool. I love the fighting and the gore and stuff. I mean, I think that's like one of the strong points of this show is just the action scenes and stuff.
Yeah. Cody, how you feeling about it so far?
Yeah, at this point, it's the movie's still pretty interesting because we haven't just completely forgotten about Scorpion. he's a Scorpion yet. So, yeah.
Yeah, I got you. So the next scene, Hanzo goes up to, and I know everybody's like, he's going scene by scene. I'm going to go scene by scene with the Scorpion parts, kind of skim through the rest of it, I promise everyone. And then Hanzo, you see one of the heads of the demon fly up onto the island, and you see there's this white bald dude that looks like a bald crow sting from 97. And that's 616 Entertainment called him that when he saw an MK4 cabinet. He goes, "Who's this bald sting on the side of this Mortal Kombat cabinet? I gotta play this game." So I was like, I've always thought of Quan Chi as bald sting now. Quan Chi really is like the first cousin of Kratos from God of War. So, you know, you have, like, you see Quan Chi there, and then Hanzo's walking up the steps, and he says, "Shinnok!" And he goes, "No, Shinnok is detained. I am Quan Chi. I'm the one ruling this realm while my master is detained." So Hanzo at this point is demanding to go back to home so he can get revenge for his family. And then Quan Chi goes, "You can't go home. You're dead." Then Hanzo slams him up against the wall real quickly and says, "You will do as I say or I'll flay you alive." And then Quan Chi obviously has sorcery magic and really gruesomely twists Hanzo like you're squeezing out a towel and all this blood comes squirting out of him. And then he tells him,
he's like, "That's not." He's like, "That's the wrong kind of squirt I was looking for."
That's a little squirt inside, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
in the
then
mouth.
you have, excuse me. Well, then you have, I had a hiccup there. I was like, oh shit. And then you have this, Quan Chi's telling him, he goes, I need, and then Hanzo figures out, okay, what do you want from me? Because Hanzo realizes that he has a purpose for him at this point. Like, I think he thinks that everything's been set up a little too easy. If he is actually dead, he should just be dead, not, like, alive in another realm. And you have, like, he tells him, like, I need this key to unlock Shinnok. And the key is held by Shang Tsung. And Scorpion goes, okay. And then, you know, he goes, also, he will be there, and shows an image of Sub-Zero. And Scorpion's all pissed off and says, okay, I'll do it. And then Quan Chi goes, if you do this, my master can bring your wife, your son, and even you back to the land of the living, which isn't ever going to happen. But he goes, Quan Chi says to the effect of, how's that sound, Hanzo? And then Hanzo, when he hears his name and he sees this picture of his wife and son, kind of winces and closes his eyes and goes, Hanzo is dead. Call me Scorpion. Now, people were like, oh, there's some exposition how he gets the name. And in MK9, they don't really explore that too much. But MK Mythology Sub-Zero, Scorpion was the code name of Hanzo Masashi because he had mastered the kunai in real life. So Scorpion was the only one, and John Tobias said this up until this new game, that Scorpion being a mantle passed through generations was not something that he explored in the games, that there was only one Scorpion, that's Hanzo Masashi. So in this movie, it kind of hints around, but says, well, this is how he gets his name Scorpion. If you look at his face, the way the blood's covered, they pointed this out on the commentary last night, that the blood covered looks like a scorpion on his face. Like, you see the tail, you see the legs. And so it's like, hey, it's like how we make movies, you know? You got to put a little alliteration in there. So, next scene is the boat scene, where Johnny Cage comes up, and they're all introduced to Raiden, other than Liu Kang. And Johnny Cage has some pretty good interactions with Raiden. He goes, hey, Lord Randy. No, he calls him Lord Randy later on. He goes, hey, Lord Raiden. And he shakes his hand, and Raiden just looks at it. It's just really fucking funny. And then later on, Liu Kang goes, should we tell him? And he says, like, he seems clueless. And Raiden goes, his path is about self-discovery. Besides, I find it entertaining. I'm like, okay, yeah, Johnny Cage is just to be everybody's idiot. It's fucking great. Then it's funny. This is kind of like a reference to, like, what everybody looks at as Scorpion if you don't know the story. Like, you see the NetherRealm ship come up, and you see Scorpion up there, and Johnny Cage goes, that must be the bad guy. And everybody's always just assumed Scorpion's the bad guy from the outside, and he's not. He's the quintessential anti-hero. He's just he just wants his interest, whether it aligns with the bad guys or the good guys.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, his alignment is neutral. So
Yeah, but you can tell, like, at the end, if push comes to shove, he will help the good side. Especially if he realizes what the fuck's going on. And he's been, like, duped. So they have kind of a quick little scene where Shang Tsung goes over the history of the Mortal Kombat tournament. And it's kind of funny. I made a note in my mind to mention this. You have the images of the Elder Gods, but you see two eyeballs in the vastness of space behind them. That's supposed to be the one being, a character they introduced or hinted around to in Mortal Kombat Deception, and you hear a little bit in Armageddon. And he's kind of he is the what do you call it? He's the existence of all the realms. Like, it was him that was split up to become the realms because he was so powerful and he was eating all the Elder Gods that he created. So he's kind of like God in Christianity, I guess. But then there's also a thing with Shang Tsung. You see him fighting a person with a red headband that's bald. Now, that's supposed to be the Great Kung Lao. And it's funny, you see this, you see the images of Shang Tsung's talking about, the 9 tournaments of Mortal Kombat. And you see Shang Tsung kicking Kung Lao, and there's blood coming out. And there's another scene where Kung Lao's on the ground covered in blood, and you see somebody's fist. And then it goes to Shang Tsung holding blood in his fist, like he's the victor. What's funny about that is that image of Kung Lao on the ground covered in blood. That's somebody that has 2 arms on his right side. That's supposed to be Goro. But Shang Tsung doesn't show that in the image. He shows everybody. He shows that it's his fist that kills Kung Lao, which it wasn't, because Kung Lao defeated him. And Goro comes back and defeats Kung Lao the next tournament. And
Shang Tsung's a fucking liar, dude.
I know. Tell me about it. Shang Tsung is like the most interesting bad guy in Mortal Kombat, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, he's awesome.
I like
especially
Shao
if he's played
Kahn
by Kerry
a lot.
Tagawa.
Like, Shao Kahn's cool, but I do think Shang Tsung is the better. Probably the more easier to kind of hate villain,
yeah, I love Shao Kahn when he throws a spear at you and goes booga booga booga.
Oh yeah, where he fucking spams you 1,000 times. I don't know.
Yes. It fucking sucks. It's funny. I was telling Cody in another, either a phone conversation. It's probably a phone conversation. We didn't record it. But, like, Shao Kahn in, like, the 3 quote-unquote timelines in Mortal Kombat, which it's funny. They've come out and said, both writers of Mortal Kombat 11 have said that they look at every game as its own timeline. Like, every game happens and then Chronica rewinds time. That's why some games have inconsistency to the stories, and that covers their retcons. It's really fucking stupid. This is their mindset, though. But it's like, I've told, like, at some point, someone was like, I was listening to some podcasts, and they were like, well, they were talking to fans of the older games, saying, like, well, the Midway timeline's full of retcons. And they're like, yeah, we understand that. And they went on to their explanation. Look, I thought Mortal Kombat 9 was the start of something brand new. I remember telling Cody, I'm like, dude, there's not going to be any fucking retcons from this point. There's going to be a consistent story. And that lasted 1 game. And then there's retcons MKX, there's retcons MK11, and, like, it has the same writer on the games, and they're retconning it. It's fucking stupid. They just can't write a consistent story. It's like having George Lucas do the prequels, like, every game. They just redo everything. But as this is going on, Scorpion is trying to get the key to unlock Shinnok. Raiden shows up and tells him, he goes, "You're a free man. You should start acting like it," and gives him this kind of like, quit playing so dumb with the bad guys type of talk. They bring out Jax, who Sonya didn't know was captured, and Jax has to fight Goro. Goro in this movie is voiced by the guy who voiced him, Kevin Michael Richardson.
Was the banquet scene was the banquet scene right before this, or has it come later?
Oh no, it's right before this. I kind of skipped it.
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention Natara shows up in this, and Johnny Cage walks up to her and he asks her something about the food, and
is this organic?
Yeah, and she hisses at him. He says something, I can't remember if he's like, "God, I was just asking," or something like that, and then walks away.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, geez, I was just asking." It was hilarious. That part was funny. I just didn't think about the Natara part. You also see a couple centaurs running around, which is Motaro's race.
Mm-hmm.
You also see a reptile, but I don't think that's the reptile because you see him a little later on. He has a different chest guard. And then Goro shows up, and Goro is voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, who did the voice of Goro in the '95 movie. Not his noises, like they had Peter Welker do his noises, like all that, those grunts and stuff he did. But when Goro was talking in Mortal Kombat 1995, that voice was the voice of Goro in this movie.
Gotcha.
And then Goro rips off Jax's arm because Jax has to have metal arms. We all know this. Raiden comes up, and it just shows the power of Raiden. He goes to heal Jax because this isn't technically part of the tournament. Goro charges at Raiden. Raiden just lifts up his hand, doesn't even look at him, and knocks him back like 20 feet. It's pretty awesome. So Shang Tsung decides to start the tournament, and you have a quick little fight between... It's Baraka in this movie. They don't name him as Baraka. And then there's Baraka, who's also in the next movie because fans were upset that he was killed so easily.
He's a jobber. I mean, he is a jobber. He's always a jobber and everything.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just wish he was just treated a little more respect because he's supposed to be the bad guy. It's like Reptile. Him and Reptile are like the two creatures of Shao Kahn, and they get balanced. They never win a fight. And Baraka has a cool ass story in MK1 coming up. I will give them the credit of this. Like Tarkatan is a disease now, and if you look at Baraka's design, his face is like really shrunken in over his bones when his teeth is exposed. He really looks like Nosferatu. Like his original design is pretty cool. Johnny Cage faces Baraka / just a random Tarkatan. Johnny Cage still thinks this is a movie until he sees Baraka's swords go through like an iron plate he was holding up. And then the building starts collapsing because it gets set on fire, and then Johnny jumps off before the Tarkatan gets crushed by a big rock, and Johnny goes, "Toasty." And it's like, okay.
Yeah. It doesn't even make any sense.
So it doesn't. It fucking sucks, man. Sonya has a fight with Reptile. I guess we should wait for Cody on the Reptile part. We'll cover the Liu Kang Katana thing. You have a little later on, Liu Kang and Katana are doing a quick fight, and it's kind of like a reminiscence of their MK9 fight. And then it's like 2 or 3 moves, and then Katana goes, "I yield." I'm like, you're not a good assassin at all. Aren't you supposed to try to kill this dude? But this is the hinting around to like they're going to start boning later. Scorpion has a scene where there's a Lin Kuei member that's on the island, and he's being chased by something, and then you see a Scorpion spear, and then Scorpion has dialogue with him saying, well, the guy goes, "You move like Shirai Ryu, but they are dead. Who are you?" He goes, and I don't remember what he says, but he says, "Where's Sub-Zero?" And he has the chain wrapped around the dude's neck, and the guy just looks at Scorpion and spits blood at him. And Scorpion goes, "Just know that I'm going to kill every member of the Lin Kuei on this island, every last one." And then he pops his head off, and then he disappears. I'm waiting for Cody to show up so we can talk about the Reptile scene, since Reptile's one of his guys.
Yeah. Reptile.
So how are you feeling about the movie so far?
I mean, yeah, like I said, it's pretty good at this point. I mean, I think at this point it has mostly, we haven't seen Scorpion for a little while. I mean, we did see him here and there, and of course with the fight with the Lin Kuei guy. But I mean, at this point it's pretty solidly just a retelling of MK1. Do you think that might be why we kind of think that the scenes with a normal character, that aren't focusing on kind of like the Scorpion backstory are kind of boring to us because we've seen this story a lot.
That's a really good point. I feel like for me, it's always been boring. Like even in the '95 movie, like it's cool seeing those characters, and it's nostalgic now when I go back and watch it. But I've always even though Scorpion doesn't have much of a backstory in that movie, I'm always like, well, Mom, Sub-Zero killed the Scorpion guy, and they're having to team up. And Scorpion was still my favorite. Like anything that wasn't Scorpion, I was always bored with. So I guess I'm just a Scorpion stan.
Yeah. But
yeah, I do agree with you. Like I do like seeing this play out in Mortal Kombat 9, seeing this play out
Like
in Mortal Kombat.
I think this is the best
you know.
movie version of these events. But like I said, we've seen it so many times.
Yes.
So
I agree with you. Like I said, I think that Liu Kang's he's the main guy of the next movie, Battle of the Realms. But it's just kind of boring, man. Nothing like against, like if you're a Liu Kang fan, but I just don't think Liu Kang is. He's just the generic good guy of the movie. It's like you're happy to see him, like when they brought Luke Skywalker in for the Mandalorian show, and you're like, oh my god, we got to see Luke one more time. This is amazing, and that's great. But the more you see of Luke, the less special it is.
yeah.
And it's like you want to see more of the other characters.
Does the
and
sequel?
Luke's not really that interesting.
Does the sequel is it just MK2?
No. The sequel is MK2, 3, 4, and Armageddon all wrapped up in one. It's a fucking hot mess, but the more I watch it, the more I love it.
Yeah. Here's another thing that might be a hot take is I don't like MK1's setting. I think the island is kind of lame. I like Outworld more.
Mm-hmm.
I think Outworld.
I don't think it's a hot take. I think that's like the most right on take you can have. And like I said, like when you go back and play MK1, it's kind of a boring game now. Yeah.
Because all the stages,
it did set up some big things.
Yeah, there's some cool stages in MK1, but the only one I can think of that's cool is the bridge, and that's it.
Oh yeah, it's called the pit technically, but that's where. Okay, that's another thing that's talking about Cody. Mortal Kombat 1, to do the pit fatality, all you had to do was uppercut. You didn't have to do a special button configuration. You just do an uppercut. And Liu Kang's fatality in Mortal Kombat 1 was a bicycle kick. Not bicycle kick. It was a cartwheel kick and then the uppercut. Because he's a monk, he's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
And if you do that fatality, though, on Mortal Kombat 1, the pit, he does the cartwheel kick, and then he uppercuts you, and you go flying up into the spike, so it actually turns into a badass double fatality type of deal. So, but then also Goro's lair is pretty dope. We see the skeletons on the wall, and like you see a bunch of glowing eyes in the background.
Well, oh yeah, that is a cool stage. But like I said, MK2 has like every stage in MK2 is cool as hell. There's the flying monks and shit. There's the acid pit. There's the forest with the faces.
The living forest.
Yeah.
Which I think they're bringing back in MK1.
The living dead girl.
So we skipped one fight, and that's Sonya versus Reptile. Reptile has very cool like nods to Predator. Like you see, he's got the red vision. He's invisible. He's kicking Sonya's ass for the majority of the fight, and then Sonya does like 2 moves, and she wraps this cord around his neck and pops his head off. So as a Reptile guy, how did you feel about his design, and what did you feel about his display until he got killed?
I mean, his design is okay. Reptile in this is pretty much how he's been presented for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years or whatever, maybe longer, where he's pretty much, to use a wrestling term, he's a jobber pretty much.
Yeah, that's what Owen called it too.
Yeah, he kind of shows up to get a pop out of the audience, and then he's kind of like pushed to the side pretty quick. So
He's there so somebody could beat his ass.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
And it sucks because he's the first ever like hidden fighter in a game. Like the first one that's ever been in any kind of fighting game, maybe like one of the first ones in games period, where you have to do certain things for him to show up, and he's not even playable in the first game. And like Mortal Kombat 2, he's, Scorpion has the fatality where he takes off the mask and there's the skull and there's the fire. Well, Reptile takes off his mask and you see this reptile head, and he literally eats your head. And he goes, he rubs his tummy at the screen. And for me, it's always like, okay, Reptile and Baraka are like the two like main henchmen for Shao Kahn, other than like Goro, Motaro, and Kentaro and all them. And we've never had interactions between Baraka and Reptile, which looks like we're going to get in MK1 because Reptile will be in the game. but I've never had like an intro. Like you had a Reptile and MKX, and he had spoken intros with characters, and then Baraka had those with the characters in MK11, and they're played by the same voice actor. But unfortunately, we don't. I want to see them interact more. Like the next movie, I'm not going to talk about it now because I've talked too much about my complaints. We never get an interaction between Hanzo Asashi's Scorpion and Human Smoke, like in any of the stories ever. In the games, in the comic books, in the movies, in this movie, in the next movie, nothing. And like I said, we'll touch on that in about a month and a half when we go to record that episode. What do you call it? So okay, Reptile. We get through, and Liu Kang and Katana having kind of not really a fight, but next thing you know, Johnny Cage is in the woods hiding. And Sonya goes, "Hey!" He goes, "Huh!" He has this funny little scream he does like twice in this movie. And he's like, "Huh!" And Sonya goes, "Really?" Because she doesn't think he can fight. He's just a movie star. And he says things like, "I leave this stuff to the stunt actors and stuff like that." But he says, "I think this is real, like a snuff film." They actually meet up with Scorpion because Scorpion's killing all the Black Dragon. They go to attack Scorpion until Johnny Cage is like, "Hey guys, hey, we don't have to attack each other." And then Sonya goes, "He's been killing Black Dragon, the bad guys." So they're sitting at a campfire hanging out. Raiden shows up and gives them a little more info. He gives them more info, and Scorpion tells them, like, "You guys have no hope. You guys need to go hide off in the woods," because all he cares about is killing Sub-Zero. He doesn't care about the tournament. And then Liu Kang, Sonya says something like, "Look, I'm here to protect Earthrealm. I'm not going to give this up without a fight." And Liu Kang goes, "He wouldn't understand, Sonya. He's never known loss or something to die for." And obviously that just burned Scorpion, because Scorpion's like, "Motherfucker, you have no idea."
Scorpion backhands him and says, "Listen here, you little bitch."
He's like, "You're so stupid."
I wish he would have. I wish he would have. But Scorpion says, "Next time we meet up, it will not end well." And then he leaves. So, like, we're getting to, like, the last 20 minutes of the movie. Liu Kang, Sonya, and Johnny Cage go up to the palace entrance, if you will. And they're met by a bunch of Black Dragon. And Kano shows up. And Kano has a funny line. And he goes, "Hello, love." And Sonya goes, "Why don't you come down here so I can give you a hug?" And he goes, "You do a lot better than Jax."
Yeah, I like that line. It's pretty funny.
That was
Got her.
got her. And then you see they focus on one Black Dragon member, because the scene before this, I missed it. You see one spying on them, and he goes, "I've spotted them." And all of a sudden, you see Scorpion Spear comes down and wrap him around the neck. And then you see this Black Dragon armor, and then you see Scorpion Spear pop down. Scorpion's wearing the armor, and he kills 3 of them by shooting the spear through their fucking head. Boom, 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 all 3 of them, and then pulls all 3 of the heads off with the spinal cords and slings it off like he's bobbing for apples. And then they all have this like little fight. Liu Kang, it shows his powers, how he has the bicycle kick, a little bit of fire, and then super fast movements. Like they're shooting bullets and he's missing all the bullets. Sonya is thinking Johnny Cage isn't fighting, so she knocks him down. She starts shooting everybody, and Scorpion's killing everybody. Well, all of a sudden, Kano starts shooting off these like semi-automatic weapons at him. It's like, ha 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 ha, it's laughing. So they go for cover, and then all of a sudden you see ice, and Kano's guns are frozen. He goes, "What gives?" And Sub-Zero goes, "You dishonor this tournament," and then kicks him off this. You just hear Kano go, "Ah!" as he hits the ground, and I laugh every time I see that. And then Scorpion sees Sub-Zero, and then his eyes, from his visual point, he just sees red. So he starts fighting, and then he attacks Sub-Zero. He kicks him. Sub-Zero blocks it, but falls off the thing and catches himself on this cool like ice slide. And then Scorpion goes, "You're going to pay for what you did to my family. Oh, no, you're going to pay for what you did." And then Sub-Zero Bihan gives him the Rock's eyebrow. Like, what?
Sub-Zero's like, "I don't know what you're talking
like,
about."
he doesn't
bro.
know who the fuck he is almost.
Yeah, it's like when somebody comes up to you, he's like, "Hey, you motherfucker."
He's
You
like,
have no idea who that
he's
is.
like, "Who are you? I don't know who you are." And then Hanzo and Bihan are fighting. And it's kind of like you see how powerful Sub-Zero is. Like even Scorpion, as mad as he is, like Sub-Zero is getting his getting some hits in. Like he stabs him with a piece of ice, and the Scorpion breathes out cold. It's really cool. And then Scorpion catches him and breaks his arm. And then he does something. He goes, "That was for my clan." And he picks him up by the face, and then like breaks his face. He goes, "That was for my wife." And then he picks him up and says, "And this is for my son." Ah! And then he jumps off. And this is supposed to be the pit from Mortal Kombat 1. And I guess he jumps off to make sure Sub-Zero lands on the spike. And at this point, this is all Scorpion wanted. Like, so he's gonna die. He's done what he wanted. And they both land on a spike pillar, and it kills Bi-Han, and Hanzo gets impaled. Well, Liu Kang and Sonya finish up with the Black Dragon, and Sonya, she has to go, like, she wants to go rescue Jax because Kano took off. And Johnny Cage goes, I can't remember, Liu Kang says something, he goes, "Your destiny's about self-discovery, go after her." And then Johnny Cage goes, "I guess I don't mind getting my balls crushed." Oh. By her. And Liu Kang goes, "Does it make it any better?" And then Johnny Cage runs off, and then Liu Kang goes to the palace. Well, here's the big reveal that's in every movie. Quan Chi comes up, and it's a cool little image. You see a reflection of Sub-Zero and Scorpion punctured on the spike in their blood. And Quan Chi walks up into the blood, and he goes, "You disappoint me, Hanzo. You had one job, and you couldn't do it." And he says something, he goes, "You're pathetic, just like your wife and your son." And then Scorpion, his eyes get wide, like, "What?" And Quan Chi goes, "Yes, you fool. It wasn't Sub-Zero that did it. It was me." And this is where they take it from Mortal Kombat Legacy, which was the web series that came out in 2013. The Sub-Zero that kills Hanzo's family is actually Quan Chi in disguise. So Hanzo will come back to life and kill Sub-Zero for him, because ultimately Quan Chi wants Hanzo as his servant as Scorpion, and he wants Bi-Han as his servant as Noob Saibot. So that's what he wants them both. So they both end up playing pawns and killing each other for Quan Chi. But in this movie, it's like Legacy, and it's not actually Bi-Han that actually killed Hanzo. It was Quan Chi disguised as Bi-Han. So you get that story nugget that... Shit, I fucking lost my place. Anyway, it goes to the fight between Liu Kang and Goro. And Liu Kang is getting some shots in, but he's getting fucked up by Goro for the most part. And he doesn't... it doesn't look like he's going to win. And then Scorpion comes back. He kills Goro. I mean, this is kind of a cheap way to end a fight. Scorpion just comes up and throws the harpoon through Goro's head and rips his head off. And then Shang Tsung is kind of like, Who is this? And he goes, "Oh, it's Quan Chi's champion." So Scorpion wants Quan Chi. And at this point, Shang Tsung has known the whole time that Quan Chi was deceiving him, because Quan Chi tries to poison Shang Tsung with like acid and kill him, because he wants the key to unlock Shinnok. And Shang Tsung is like, "Shinnok's called the Mad God for a reason, Quan Chi." And then so Quan Chi's being bound up by this fire magic that Shang Tsung put on him. And then Scorpion says he wants him. And Shang Tsung goes, "Okay, well, if you kill Liu Kang," because Shang Tsung is terrified of Liu Kang for some reason at this point, "you can have Quan Chi." So Scorpion goes to fight Liu Kang, and then Raiden says, well, there's something where Liu Kang says, "Revenge is not the way, Scorpion." And then Shang Tsung goes, "Of course it is, but what other choice does he have?" And then Raiden says something to the effect of, after like echoing what he said before. So Raiden says, "Well, everyone has a choice." And then Scorpion realizes this. Scorpion yields to Liu Kang and wants the key from Shang Tsung. He has Shang Tsung bound up with the spear. He shows up behind him. And then Shang Tsung goes, "Shao Kahn will hear this and he will kill you." And he goes, "I'm already dead." So he gets the key. Shang Tsung disappears because he can't fight Raiden because the tournament's over. Liu Kang is technically the champion of Mortal Kombat. And Scorpion gets to fight Quan Chi. And it's a pretty fucking good fight. I will say this. This is probably like my favorite moment. This is better than what they did in MKX, where Scorpion gets to fight him and then cut off his head. Scorpion gets like his whole entire story arc from family life to death to revenge at the very end, all in one movie, which is great. And Quan Chi and him have a fight. And there's a scene at the end as Scorpion is like punching him. He's like punch, 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 and then he does this double punch to the stomach, and you see like the force of it go through Quan Chi's stomach, you know. And that is a nod. It has to be to the '95 movie because that's how Liu Kang hits Shang Tsung at the end. Because he's like bam, 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 and then he does that double fist, alluding to the fireball that knocks him into the pit. So Scorpion, he kills Quan Chi. He gets the moment where he gets to say, "Get over here." Takes off his mask and blows fire, and kills Quan Chi after ripping his head off. And then like the palace is collapsing. Scorpion just kind of closes his eyes, and he dies. Like he's accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. He got revenge for his family, so he has no other purpose. And that kind of like it hints around to the next movie what happens to Scorpion. And then Liu Kang says, "I didn't beat him, Raiden. I'm sorry." And Raiden goes, "You were never just supposed to defeat Goro. You're supposed to defeat Shao Kahn." I'm like, how in the fuck is he can't beat the one guy? Is he gonna beat the bigger guy? But anyway, that's story exposition. And then there's a funny little line where, go ahead, Cody.
I was like, I guess we're gonna find out in Battle of the Realms, huh?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a little different Battle Rounds. I'm not gonna defend anything. I'm not gonna defend. I'll probably have to defend it when we watch it, but I'm not going to like reveal anything because it's vastly different. Like Scorpion is depowered, and Liu Kang is, oh my God, it's George of the Jungle in here. And Liu Kang is very powered up. He's like Goku now.
Gotcha.
That's the end of the movie. Scorpion gets his revenge, as the movie says. I guess we'll go ahead and quick, if you recommend it, if you liked it, and then we'll go on to the next movie title. I will start with Cody.
Yeah, I recommend it. The animation's solid. Voice acting's good. It's an interesting story. Like I said, there's a little bit in the first half where it doesn't really Scorpion doesn't show up for like a good 20 minutes or so, and it's kind of like the title says it's a Scorpion movie, but he's not really here. But other than that, yeah, it's pretty solid. I definitely recommend it.
Okay, good deal. And Owen, sir, what do you think?
All right, so if you're listening to this and you have never watched a Mortal Kombat movie or anything like that, do yourself a service and watch this. If you're thinking about, experiencing anything Mortal Kombat related, because this is probably the best intro and version of the base Mortal Kombat 1 story without playing the games. But this is probably the best adaptation that's ever been made.
Okay, I can go with that. I'm still a fan of the '95 movie.
Yeah, I think people who grew up with that are, I know for nostalgic reasons. And there are aspects to it that are still cool. Like everybody loves the Highlander Raiden shit, and it's kind of the original in a lot of ways. So. A lot of the story beats came from that, so I get that. But I'm just saying, I think this one did it really good.
Okay, I got you. Like I said, I do like the '95 movie, and I do defend the 2021 movie, let alone just for the Scorpion and Sub-Zero parts. Everything else is kind of blood, kind of like this movie. But I think this movie nails Hanzo Hasashi as a character. And you feel sympathy for him. He is portrayed as the guy that he's supposed to be portrayed as in this movie. And it's cool, like, if you're a Scorpion main, Scorpion's your favorite fighter, this movie's just awesome. Like that. If you care about lore, if you're one of these stupid fans who are like, I really don't care about the lore of the game, I just want to fight, and just don't listen to my podcast. But I definitely recommend it. Like, if somebody wants to watch something Mortal Kombat, let them watch this before you show them the '95 movie, because somebody that gets introduced to '95 now will just think that movie's like silly and boring. And I don't think that at all. I love that movie, but I grew up with it. In 2021, like I said, I think it's a little more dramatic because it's live action actors, but I think the 2021 movie and this movie nail Scorpion's origin story like perfectly, where you feel sorry for him. And it gives them personality. More so this movie than 2021. But I think they both do. But I definitely recommend this movie. So, yeah. That is Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, with a lot of feedback from my birds on this episode. So, I apologize. But anyway, I think the next movie will be Owens.
Yeah. So it's gonna be. I mean, Cody discussed it before, but I'm gonna do Full Metal Jacket. Partly because I read the book and I really want to just discuss kind of a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And basically, it's like a public service announcement to say that if you read, which, I don't know how many people who listen to this read, but if you read, you should probably read the book because the book is really good and in a lot of ways better than the movie. So, but.
Okay. That sounds good. Hopefully, is that on HBO Max?
I'm pretty. It's on something. I have a copy, but I mean, I'll have to look.
Yeah, that helps me with you being in Alabama. Just fucking like, dude.
Yeah,
Thank you
I'll
for letting me have
FedEx.
this.
I'll FedEx it to you guys.
And everyone, thank you for listening to Mortal Kombat. I apologize about the bird. Anywho, thank you guys for listening, and as always, finish him.
Dun, 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 dun.